Try this. Turn off the music, turn off the TV. If you have to, turn off the computer. Then go into another room and sit in total silence. Do you hear that? That ringing? People say it is your brain making up a sound to explain the silence. People lied. I can't tell you what is making that sound, but whatever it is, you don't want to meet it. It is trying to break through, force its way onto our plane of existence. Now try this. Repeat the first steps. Turn everything off. This time, turn the lights off too. Still hear that ringing? You better hope so. If you don't, it's because they have finally managed to break through and into your head. And no amount of running will save you. It was late at night, and I looked around my dark room. I was surprisingly awake for the late hour. In the corner, I saw a strange shadow. It looked like that of a human being, but somehow the face was all wrong. As it stepped out of the dark corner of my bedroom, I saw why. Its face was something of a mix between bird and man, with an elongated and sharp mouth and nose. But unlike a man or a bird, there was only black depths where the eyes should be. Like that part of it was just a skeleton. Despite the being's lack of eyes, it seemed to stare deep into my soul, almost as though it were reaching into my soul. I awoke with a start, just a dream, I thought. I looked around my room. There was light spilling in from the stove light in the kitchen. I could clearly see that there was nothing out of the ordinary in my room. I turned my back to the door, and what I saw reflected in one of my poster frames made my heart stop. There he or it was, staring at me, the same way as he had in my dream. I looked back towards the door quickly and breathed a sigh of relief when I saw nothing there. I again turned my back to the door. His reflection was still there, but this time it seemed closer. Figuring it was just an overacting imagination from the dream, I just closed my eyes and fell back to sleep. When I woke up in the morning, I was exhausted as I had been tossing and turning all night long. All through my dreams, the Birdman had not left me alone. I got up and went to the bathroom. I turned on the sink and splashed the water on my face, and I was finally able to blink my eyes open. I looked up into the mirror. He was there, behind me. I pinched myself to see if I was dreaming. Ouch! I cried out in pain. Maybe it was just a phantom image from my dream last night. I tried to go about my day as normally as possible, but every time I looked into a reflective surface, he was there. This has been going on for a whole year. Every night I dream about him, and every day I see him in my reflection coming closer and closer each time. Even getting closer, his face was still difficult to describe exactly what I was looking at, as if the Birdman was still far away. The last time I looked, he was right behind me. That was this morning. Not only did I see him, but for the first time I could feel its presence. Right now, as I'm typing this, I can feel him behind me, steadily coming closer. I set up my mirror by my computer. Maybe I should look at it right now. Maybe. Hank had been drinking on his front porch all night until the thing crept out of the woods. At first, he thought it was some weird-looking deer, the animal being distorted by his bad eyesight and the state of being drunk. He had never seen a deer with such a big head or walking around with just two legs. So he went back to drinking, watching the thing pace the tree line. It wasn't until the thing started jumping at something in the trees that Hank thought that maybe he was seeing something other than a deer. His buddy Jeb had said he had been seeing aliens a few mornings back when he was out hunting. Jeb had described the little guys as small and green. This thing was neither small nor green. From where Hank sat, it looked like it was half the size of some of the shorter trees. Also, this thing looked white. If this was an alien, Hank was going to kill it and get tons of cash for his find. With gun in hand, Hank started walking the field from his house to the tree line. As he got closer, he could see this really was no deer. It was still jumping, eating bats of birds coming out of the trees. With each jump, it would open its mouth, which spanned the length of its massive egg-shaped head. The head sat on top an impossibly thin neck. It had no front legs or arms, just two legs, and it stood upright. Hank stopped when the thing was 50 feet from him. He didn't want to alert it in any way, so he raised his rifle and slowly pulled the bolt back. The cold metal making the slightest sound that was hidden by the thumps of the creature's landing. Lining up the shot, he fired. In Hank's drunken state, the bullet found home in a tree about 10 feet from the thing. The egg-headed creature knew he was there now. It slowly turned its eyeless head towards him and started its awkward stride in Hank's direction. The thing walked like a large bird, but Hank wasn't going to take the time to study it. Quickly, he loaded another shell and shot from the hip. The bullet whizzed into the forest. The egg-headed creature opened its mouth and broke into an awkward jog. The ground shook under Hank's feet and he turned to run towards his house, his heart pounding in sync with his feet hitting the ground. He could feel the thick hard air of the thing breathing down his neck. The sound of its mouth snapping shut behind him buzzed in his ear. Suddenly, Hank was in the air and quickly finding himself landing hard on the ground, knocking the wind from his lungs. Before he had a chance to turn over, something grabbed his side and turned him onto his back. His gun lost in the fall, he could just lay there helplessly. Now the large monster stood over him, looking at him with his eyeless head. It slowly lifted one of his legs into the air and put its large frog-like foot down on Hank's chest. Hank, frozen with fear, could only look on, taking in the thing as it was taking him in. Its legs about as thick as its neck. It had a pot belly, and its rib could be made out on its armless upper half. A line of thick hair trailed from its lower jaw right down the middle of the beast. Other than that, the thing had no other features. No genitals, no texture to its pale white flesh. Slowly, it opened its massive mouth, exposing an expressive length of slimy black flesh. Its long red tongue poked and prodded at his body. Its breath seemed calming and warm, like a hug. It made Hank relax, relieving himself as the egg-headed thing just started to rip him apart.